Hi YouTube, welcome back to my channel. So pour yourself a nice cool drink, a nice glass of wine or a cup of coffee if it's that time of day, and settle back because I have a feeling this might be a long one, although I do always try to contain my videos within about 10-12 minutes, if only just to make them reasonable to upload in my haphazard way. But today I'm going to talk about Guerlain and those items within the Guerlain makeup range, which I think are classics. I did a similar video in respect of Chanel a couple of weeks ago, and a lot of you seem to enjoy that from your comments and your thumbs up likes. So I thought I would do it for Guerlain because that's the name that I think of as the most classic of the perfume houses, makeup, skincare houses that we think of the French names. And I think that's because they've been around for a long time, and unlike Chanel, Dior, those ones which are essentially fashion houses where the big owners who now own them use the makeup, perfume, skincare as a kind of entry point to the fashion house. In other words, it's a cheaper for them and therefore very profitable adjunct to their fashion business. That's not true for Guerlain. They don't make clothes, they don't make shoes, they don't make handbags. They have a long history of making fine perfume, and that developed into skincare and makeup, and that remains their specialisation. And a lot of their products, I think, reflect that history. I'm not going to talk about perfume in this video because it would take for too long. If any of you are interested in that, let me know, and I'll probably try and do one as a separate video, because that's a whole topic in its own. I think Guerlain fragrances are very, very distinctive, or they certainly were until quite recently. I have views about their more recent output, but that's another story. But equally, they have some real classic products that they bring out year after year and that become kind of collector's items, as well as great favourites. Right in the middle of our picture, you see one of them. This is the latest, or at least the latest for me, of the Guerlain Meteorites, which is an absolutely classic product that they make, that they bring out each season. They're these little balls of shimmery colour. This particular one, which came out for spring this year, got a lot of quite dark pink in. I have used it a few times. It doesn't show up that warm on the skin. They have a very distinctive fragrance. It's a Parma Violet fragrance. As soon as you open the can, you can smell it. You either love it or you hate it. I think a lot of people, certainly in the UK, who brought up on Parma Violet sweeties, quite like it, even if it's quite an old-fashioned granny type fragrance, and it certainly lasts in their products. I've had some of these tins of Meteorites for years, and they still smell very strongly of the Parma Violets, and they still work. Now, I think Meteorites, a beloved product for most Guerlain fans, is a bit take it or leave it. I don't think it really shows up that much on the skin, and I'm quite fair-skinned. You use it as a kind of all-over finishing powder. I am not keen on pressed or loose powders. I tend to like something that gives me a bit more of a glow. So I do use these Meteorites, or in fact I use kind of stronger, glowier products now. But I'm still addicted to collecting them. They generally come out in these pretty tins. Here's one from a couple of years ago. This was part of the Shalimar holiday collection. There you go. You can see there are a different selection of colours and different selection of sizes. One of my favourites was the Snow Globe from the holiday collection a few years ago. Quite a different look, and a plastic container. It had a little puff, which I really liked. It's one of my favourites because it actually looks good on the skin. It's got some little kind of stars in there, but it's basically a very gold and pale gold selection, which actually looks really nice. And One of my other favourites, is this the one? Yeah, Pearl du Dragon. This is quite a few years ago. I have got some going back where they were still in cardboard boxes. This is quite a cool toned selection, which looks good on my skin. Still smells of Parma Violets, and I reckon this is about 2011, 2010, round about then. I haven't actually looked up. Now, you will know if you've seen me unboxing these that I do get cross with Guerlain that they are cutting back on the quantities. We're getting less product each time, it would seem, but I still buy them and collect them. They're a classic. Guerlain make a lot of other classics. I haven't got to show you here, but I think their primers are classics. They do a Meteorites version primer, so it's basically a see-through bottle with little spheres of colour, much like, you know, the different selections, usually a pinky and white selection that comes out, the little spheres kind of mush up and comes out as a glowy primer. And then they also do a beautiful gold speckled transparent gel, which is a beautiful primer. It really works well in terms of extending the wear of your makeup. I don't think it particularly shows under the makeup, so depending what you're using the primer for, that is a non-silicone based primer that really works to fix your makeup. I would definitely recommend it. It's classic. Haven't got any at the moment. Their whole terracotta range, which is their summer bronzing glowing range, is absolutely classic. People collect them. I've collected them in the past. I'm trying to stop doing it because they bring out now several per year. So, I mean, they're really works of art. I can't quite work out what the different ones are. Here's an example of the ones they're doing in the tin. And by the way, these products are always enormous. You get a huge amount of product. So here's one. I'm going to say from last year or the year before, you know, absolutely beautiful, but that gold overlay will brush off with one or two uses and you'll be just left with the kind of brown bits, which is a very mid-toned bronzer. So great for fairer skins, builds up for darker skins, but I can't bear to even use it. So that's really a bit of a waste of money. I'm trying to stop buying those. One of my favourites is from a few years back, and this is in a kind of wooden magnetic clasp contact. You can see that I have used that a lot. And this was in the days when they weren't using an overlay. So the gold bit is gold powder. And when you swirl your brush around, you get a beautiful mid-toned, not muddy, gentle bronzer for fair-skinned girls like me. So that is one that I've continued to use. Also in the range, they come out with quite glaring, really, powders, illuminators. This is one called Summer in the City, which again, just look how much product you get. I've had this for years. I don't wear it a huge amount because it's very in your face. Look, it still have not worn off the pattern, and it is a very vibrant gold, designed for the summer. I actually wear it quite a lot at Christmas as my kind of Christmassy highlighter because it's very in your face. Look at that. You can wear it as eyeshadow. So they come out with those absolute classics, beautifully presented, loads of product, very expensive. Their highlighters are to die for. I think Guerlain and Dior are the two I really, really recommend, and Guerlain has the edge over Dior. My all-time favourite highlighter is a Guerlain classic. Here it is. It's called Cruel Gardenia, and it's quite a few years old. I hardly ever wear it. The only thing I would say is it's quite a difficult tin to get into. I'm going to take it off screen, and I'm forever kind of butchering the petals. Look at that, a work of art, but more to the point, the most beautiful rosy highlight. Just gorgeous, very full on there. Apply it with a fan brush and it's quite subtle, with a more densely packed brush, and you're really going to get highlighting sheen that will be seen from outer space. And they do kind of variations. That's my all-time favourite of Cruel Gardenia every year. There's another one here, Poudre de Soie, which is a highlighter, but I use it, and again, look how beautifully it's presented all over the face, really, when I want to glow a bit more. The lipsticks are classic. I'm not a huge fan of the Guerlain lipsticks, but they do several versions. They're beautifully presented. Look at this fella. You pull down the... and very pigmented, beautifully presented. You can buy now the cases, which are works of art, much more sophisticated than this one, and fill in different lipsticks. I quite like their Kiss Kiss range, which is a so-called cheaper, less pigmented range. I've got loads of them. Here's one of the red ones, so this is quite pigmented, but it's a more kind of slippery, less matte version, and they do seasonal versions. So here's one, little heart shape. Again, you can see beautifully pigmented. Again, smell quite strongly of rose. All their products are very fragranced. They used to do, they still do a seasonal palette. They had a series for a number of years that were like this one, where you got a lot of bang for your buck, I felt. So quite a small little palette where they did, I've got about 4 of these, a top layer of eyeshadows, and then underneath a layer of highlighter and blush. I really liked those. They've kind of moved away from that recently and gone for kind of bigger, just generic palettes with a lot of eye colours in, rather than the mixture, which I'm sorry about. But I think they do just still these very classic. I mean, how classic a design is that? You could have got that in the 1940s, really, the kind of compact. So there's a lot to explore with Guerlain. I know a lot of people swear by their eyeshadows. Apart from the holiday palettes, I've never gone in for those. But I do recommend their highlighters in the terracotta range, and their primers as premium primers are just excellent. And, you know, the Meteorites, nothing could be more classic. I think most people who are serious about makeup are going to have, you know, one Meteorites box in their collection. So Guerlain, the most classic of classic ranges. They churn out variations of what they have been doing for donkey's years, because they are classic products and they will always sell, and that's the real kind of definition of a classic. So long may Guerlain succeed in those endeavours. So thumbs up if you're enjoying the classic series, and until next time, bye for now.